and all the money.
Yeah. No, it's good to make the money for sure. And we're
Yeah.
live. Welcome to Drawing for Tattooers. Yeah, and so with me this morning we have Elise and
Good
Amber.
morning.
So great that you could join us today. And so before we went live, we were just sort of chit chatting about shop talk. Some of this, some of that. The biz. Talking about the importance of uh, getting deposits. Holding people to account. They say they're going to be there. You get
Yeah.
prepared for them. So we know whether it's a tattoo or a piercing or a graphic design job,
Mm.
right? It doesn't matter. There's um, we are oftentimes, I think, in our work, we take our work home with us a lot. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you got to go, you got to do your scheduling. You may have to prepare drawings or other artworks before, to be prepared, so that way you can actually do the work when it's time to do the work, right? Um, so having that security of a deposit, I think it increases the seriousness. It like sort of it does. I think it does really uh, establish, right, that there's something at stake here, right? You
Yeah.
could just call and say like, yeah, I'll be there, you know, or yeah, I want this. I want you to design this thing for me. Will you draw this for me? Will you design it? It's like, of
Not
course,
for free.
right. I'm a
Yeah.
professional, so I need I need you to respect the work that I do and my time, and so um, and so that was I was showing Elise a drawing that I did, and I had a no call, no show, but I got the design right. I
She's
was
gonna
ready.
regret it. She's
I don't
gonna
regret
regret
it.
it.
I
She is.
love what I came up with, and but I think it was sort of like it's like all the work I put into it would have made sense, had I was able to get the job, get the job done, do the actual work. The deposit didn't really cover the time that I spent working on it. If that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So it was just a very sort of subtle comfort. You know what I mean? Like, okay, some of my time was paid for, um, but again, I'm going to look at it as a positive, not not completely negative. Uh, if they don't get it, then somebody else. So
Yeah, and you still were able to practice your drawing and your art and stuff,
exactly. Yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's like, I want the we're doing our work to make a living. It's a part of why we do the work we do. But it's the greatest job there is, right? So
That's right.
there's
Yeah.
always there's always some consolation. But anyway, it's not complaining. It's just like it is what it is, and that's we all face our, sort of uh the challenges, right, and the work. But hey, Spirit, good morning, and Stephen, so
Hey,
great to see you both. Thanks for coming.
good morning. Good morning, Stephen.
Morning.
Good morning, Elise. Good morning, Amber.
Good
Morning.
morning, guys.
So I must say that I have nothing prepared. I have done no drawing. I have no presentations.
That's all
Uh,
right. No,
I kind of
that's
feel
all
bad
right.
about it, but I've just been
I've been reading the
tattooing a
Piercer's
lot.
Bible all week, so I have nothing prepared either.
I've been working on my
It,
portfolio.
Okay, I'm not alone. Woo. All right.
No, we all get busy. And so today my I've got an agenda written out, so there's some things I want to talk about, and then but we'll draw today. We'll draw together. I think
Yay.
that'll be a really um so last week we all drew some figures, and I think that really uh it really sort of like refreshed me in a big way. It was it got me excited for drawing more figures. So I did that throughout the week, and um, I did all my other drawings too. And so there was kind of this it was a lot of drawing, a lot of different subjects. But I think again I still really see the value in drawing, a figure, drawing from life, and those are some of the things we want to talk about today. But while I'm on that topic here, I should definitely do the announcements and stuff because it's about that time in the show. So anyway, I'm gonna let's see if I can.
Speaking of shows, I thought I
Yeah,
saw you use my tattoo for the thumbnail. I was so
Yeah.
excited to see that.
and
Oh,
very well deserved, I think, and that's the hook, right? Like it's like people
yeah.
see this amazing, beautiful tattoo and are like, "What is this show about?" And they want to click on it.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So thank you for that's I think the catch, right? If you're on here, anything you show might be used for
Right, right.
for
I
the
love it.
advertisement.
That's so
So
great. I love it.
no,
Thank you.
yeah, that was okay, right?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
I was elated. I showed my wife, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Whoa!"
Well, it was excellent work, and so keep it coming. Keep
Yes,
sharing your stuff. You know what I
yes,
mean? I
sir.
think
Will do.
that's what this format is about. I think is that we're here together to learn, grow together, you know, make make better art and tattoos together.
Yeah,
So, um,
It's an excellent feeling, isn't it?
it is. Yeah, it is. It really is.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Amber. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I'm just, like before this class, I didn't have as many artistic voices in my head or as many like rules to listen to, but now it's like when I'm tattooing and working on things, I can hear James say, "Where's the line of termination? Where's the foreshortening? This part is going to be a little darker than this part. And the more we do this, the more we kind of go over the basics and keep rehashing the basics, the more it's going to be revealed. And that's exciting.
well, yeah, no, you give me that's way too much credit, but thank you. Let me oh my gosh. Yeah. All right. So where am I at? Derp. Yeah, announcements, right? Yeah. Good morning and welcome to Guy Atchison's Reinventing the Tattoo community, where tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are all encouraged to join in these live stream and real world events. We beam out nearly every single day, and with your help, have become an incredible network of uh, live and on demand content. So, um, our goal is to inspire and share and ultimately create better art and tattoos together. So, thank you again for coming. So right now I'm sharing my screen, and you should be seeing the Reinventing the Tattoo homepage. And so here at reinventingthetattoo.com, you can find all sorts of courses, content, and it's all available, some for free, right? And then there's other subscription-based things that you can check out as well. As you explore this homepage, there's all kinds of programming on the network that you can check out as well. So if you're interested in joining our live stream, you can always come down here to the event schedule and find links that'll bring you into these Zoom meetings. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. So if we're live on YouTube, you can let us know in the chat. It's sometimes it's hard for me to keep up with all of the chat and also do this. So if anybody sees the chat, say hey.
Hi, chat.
Welcome. Yeah, hey chat, but welcome, and let us know where you're watching us from and if this is working out for you. Um, okay, so you can find us here at reinventingthetattoo.com. We have a Roku channel, Reinventing the Tattoo /Roku. You can find us on all the major podcast directories, um, such as Spotify, Apple. We're also on the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. You can find the Reinventing the Tattoo app. You can install it on your phone or on your tablet, and then you can get access to the course content there. There's all kinds of there's a community as well, which is which I really wish that I need to like dedicate myself to make more time for the for the reinventing like social network that exists. It's very cool, and it's a space where you can show your work, get feedback from other students and other people that are in the community, as well as just sort of get reminders about like upcoming things. So it is a community, and so you're encouraged to to investigate and check it out. So right. Here's some of the sponsors and stuff. We'll get to them. So the schedule of programming that we have starting on Mondays at 1 p.m. Eastern, we have the Skill Building Drawing Group hosted by Jason Leeser. That's followed on Mondays at 9 a.m. Eastern, Drawing for Tattooers. That's this show. You made it.
Hooray!
Monday, 9 a.m. And so here we are. We're doing it. And
We're here.
yeah, we are. At 11 a.m. on Mondays, we have the Tattoo Weekly, hosted by Lauren Gregory, Jake Meeks, and Gabe Ripley. 5 p.m. on Mondays, we have Let's Talk About Feelings with Robbie Ripple. Mondays at 9 p.m. Mondays is a full day. It's a full schedule. So Mondays are a big day for us here at Reinventing. So at 9 p.m. Eastern on Mondays, we have the subscribers exclusive drawing group. Tuesdays at 10 a.m., we have Tuesday Fields Drawing Group, hosted by Ricardo Sturdivant. On Thursdays at 6 p.m., we have the Tattoo Collecting 101 podcast, hosted by Fawn Baker. So now we'd like to...
It's always a fun show.
It is a fun show. And Kyle's on there, the whole gang, over there at Red Tree, Derb's shop. So it's very cool. Right, so we'll talk about some of our sponsors. Tattoo Now. Tattoo Now is technology for tattooers, the leading edge in professional development management with digital tools for tattoo artists of all levels. They have upgrades and CRM software, that's customer relations management software. So there's all kinds of tools here. Check it out. Again, it's a great resource that you may find could be very beneficial for your shop or for your own personal, your own individual practice as a tattoo artist. So that's tattoonow.com. And of course, we'd like to thank Guy Atchison for being the founder and inspiration behind Reinventing the Tattoo. You can learn more about Guy Atchison at guyatchison.com, where you can find original artwork, prints of artwork, equipment like machines, as well as the Biomech Encyclopedia and other art educational, tattoo educational content. And so you can learn more at guyatchison.com. Yes. And then here's my site. You can come here and learn more about me. It's a work in progress, gang, but tattooingwisdom.com, where you can learn more about the art and tattoos of James Wisdom. You can request a consult,
which is amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
It's gorgeous.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's our our thumbnail for the show for shows that are coming up. But then we like to show the work of everybody here. There's, I think, whoever stands out, it's just really great to to showcase everybody that participates. And so it's
how long did it take you to paint that?
Like it was like 32 years or 33 years or something like that. No, I heard that joke one time. Somebody asked somebody like, how long did it take to paint, that? And it's like, well, it'd take my whole life till you did it.
Right.
Like, actual time working on it.
Picasso with the napkin.
Yeah. 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 It wasn't too long. It was, well, anyways, so so I've got some tattoos and stuff here you can check out. I'm always adding new stuff to it. And so, anyways, yeah. yeah, that is, there's the announcements. So, very cool. I wanted to, I also wanted to mention, um, I want to start promoting it, and I'm excited about it. Um, I'm going to Hell City. That is, and we're going to be
Oh, you're
doing
going to
drawing
Hell
for
City.
tattooers live at Hell City. So
Oh, so
it's going to
cool.
be
That
cool.
is awesome.
If you know, if anybody, if any of you are there at Hell City, please, you know, come to it. Um, it's free for reinventing members, and then there's a small fee if you know if you're interested, you want to come and draw. We're gonna do some fun activities, some warm ups and stuff, and then you know try to do some you know try to do some investigating, right? Try to do some deep dives into you know some of the some of the basics, right? That we've been you know we talk about here, and but it's always fun in person, right? When you get to do you know like you get to do a class in person. It's exciting. You got others around you, and then there's that one-on-one sort of thing. So anyway, it's going to be Hell City, May 19th through the 21st in Columbus, Ohio. So I'm really looking forward to being at the Reinventing the Tattoo booth. So anyway,
Cool.
wanted to mention that. Um, but yeah, so hey everybody, I'm so glad you could make it, and we were chit chatting about you know about deposits earlier, about like about the business, and I was you know I was just reflecting on it you know myself, and just sort of talking about how it's uh, how important it is, right? How your time is valuable, right? And so I was wondering if anybody else had like you know any reflections on that, like you know does anybody else like do you ask for deposits for your work? Do you know like do you not you know like I know some people, they've got such an established client base of people with work, that's all they work on is people that have work on, you know. And it's sort of like I don't ask for deposits because all my people, you know what I mean, like I'm just constantly working on that.
That's a luxury.
I think so. I mean that's great. Maybe that's the maybe
Well, my
that's sort of
shop
the
does
goal.
what's called a rolling deposit. One
Hmm.
deposit for a tattoo, and it rolls over to every appointment. As long as they make their appointment or reschedule it in time, their deposit rolls over to the next appointment.
Yes.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
say
I can
they
see
put a
that.
deposit of 50 bucks in once, and that lasts every appointment they have until that tattoo is done.
Yeah, apply it to the last session,
Hmm.
Yeah,
right?
but and then what happens when you don't have clients that are getting full sleeves? You know what I mean? It's like somebody's just coming in getting a medium-sized tattoo that'll just take one session. Yeah, definitely take deposits. That when I did not take deposits, I would say my no call, no shows would just I would probably get like maybe 50% no call, no shows, maybe 60% no calls, no shows. But then when I started taking deposits, it went down to maybe like 10%, because only the people that are serious are gonna pay you. And
Yeah.
even then, you'll still have no call, no shows, but at least you got paid. At least you got paid for the time. I used to take. I'm probably gonna go back to it in a little bit, but I used to take like $200 deposits because I was taking $100 deposits at first, but then I still got no call, no shows. Um, but then $200 deposit, that's when people stop. You know, you gonna feel $200. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Mm.
My mentor put it like this because when I first started, I was like, oh my God, I can't ask for money. No, what do you mean? Like, no, they're gonna say no, they're gonna run out of the door. And he was like, he asked me this question. He's like, if you could ask God any question, any question possible, would you do that? If you could ask God any question, would you do that? Let me tell you.
I
Okay.
would.
I would,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know what
I got a
it would
couple.
be yet, but
Can it be a
Okay.
compound question?
Sure. Good question. That's a good question. But no, it would be one question at a time. Like open-ended questions, right? You just ask God, why?
Yeah.
You know. So that's the first question. And then but the next question is, now, if you had to take 1 minute off of your life for every question that you ask God, would you still ask God questions?
Yeah.
You would, right? Yeah.
I could spare
But it
10
would only
minutes.
be yeah, sure. But it would only be the important questions. You wouldn't just be under his, you know what I'm, God. It would be, you would really think on these questions. You know what I'm saying? Especially as you get older. So we got to think, we're God to these people. You know what I'm saying? We are, they know.
We're the cat gods.
Yeah, we're the tat guys. You know what I'm saying? They know nothing about tattoos. So, of course, if they can get a free tattoo design out of you, or just free information, or just sit you down and pick your brain, they're going to do that. They're definitely going to do that. So, only the people that put skin in the game are going to be serious.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, like you said, like they don't know that we're beholden to the actual tattoo gods, so
Right.
like, yeah, we're, so we answer to them.
Right.
No, I do like it. I think it is a serious business, right? And if you say you're gonna show up for this, I want to be ready. You know what I mean? And I think that's important. That's our end of the bargain, I suppose. Right? It's like, it's like
Mm-hmm.
if you're gonna put it on yourself to take the appointment, that you try to be prepared for it, to the best you can, right? There might be some sort of last minute details and stuff that you have to sort of confer with them about, but this isn't. It's less a judgment about others' practices and more of like I want to do my best, right? But I've certainly seen and worked with others who just like they start the drawing or they show up late. They show up, they got an appointment set, they show up late, and then they're like, I haven't started the drawing yet. So you just sit there and wait in the lobby while I work this out. Yeah, I mean that sort of thing is it's like, why do that? Why, it's like so much stress. It's so,
Mhm.
upsetting, I think, to everybody. To you, you're the artist, and it's like now you got to put yourself through that. You know what I mean? Like right before you do your work. I don't know. I think shit happens probably, but at the same time, like if you can, uh, be more diligent and try to, be more professional and, really professional stuff here. That
I
might be something.
always thought leaving it till the night before was cutting it close. And then I realized how many tattooers leave it till the hour before their appointment is coming in. And I'm like, I like to work on a deadline, and I like the chaos of getting close to that line. It fuels me, but not an hour before the tattoo's coming in. I want my shit tight before
I
that.
do it. I do it. No, actually, I will draw the tattoo when they're there. Like I'll draw it right in front of them. I've been doing that a lot lately. Because what I used to do is I used to like toil the night before or like a week before, and I find that it's not even really the pressure. It is that does help, but it's also the having the client there with me. Even having them like see me put it together, see me use the different references. I find that it's helpful. It's helpful for me and it's helpful for the client, because they get to be a part of the process. And I take my authority from this by because I was thinking of Michelangelo when he was sculpting the David. And I talk about this a lot. When he was sculpting the David, he was very guarded around it. He didn't want anybody to see it. He just wanted people to think that, it just fell from heaven, and was just perfect. And so I felt the same way about my tattooing. I felt the same way about my imagery and stuff. But then I realized I was like, if Michelangelo feels this way about his art, then I don't have to feel that way about mine. Then I can, because this is I'm not creating the David here. This is a tattoo. You know what I'm saying? Which is something completely different. You know what I'm saying? Like the David is stone that people are seeing. This is an image that is going on a human. You know, so I like to include the person, and I hope that what I'm saying kind of helps you a little bit too. Kind of helps to bring a little bit of the stress down because you'd be surprised like how because I used to think that like that if people saw it put together that it would take away the magic, right? That if they see it, if they see pieces, you know what I'm saying, then they're like, oh, well, that's how it's done. That's the trick to it. Oh, well, this is not as awesome. But no, that's not at all. That's not it at all. Like them seeing it from the time it's created and from the time, boom, you like this? Yeah, I like it. That's really awesome. I like how it's, you know what I mean? It's nice.
Yeah, I got to get over and being watched while I draw.
Mm-hmm.
Being watched gives me anxiety.
Mm-hmm. You told me, Amber, that sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between anxiety and excitement.
Yes. Oh, I can tell it's anxiety. It's something I'm working on.
Go ahead. Sorry, Amber. Go ahead.
It's something I'm working on because I have to be observed through my apprenticeship. And the more comfortable I get with people, the easier it is to have them observe me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really about building a comfortable relationship with my clients to be able to have that give and take of a drawing right in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think will come with more experience.
Yeah. Yes, it will come with experience, and I think, but again, you're right about the, anxiety versus excitement. I think they're kind of they're probably the same coin, right?
They're the same chemical.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing. Probably how you look at it. So I think that Spirit, you bring up a really great point that like there isn't a right way, right, to be prepared for what it is, because again, like once you start the process of actually doing it, you meet the real, sort of all the contingencies, all the things that could happen. So I think with experience comes the knowledge of how you would be best prepared. There might be some prep work that needs to get done. Thumbnail sketches or something like that. Small studies that help you sort of develop it, depending on what you're going to do. If it's going to be a big freehand sort of thing, you know what I mean? If it's going to be like again, like sort of a collage that you're putting together. Um, I think there could be real moments of excitement, like you said, like you kind of bring the client into the process. Maybe it's the client. Again, maybe it's how there are different aspects to how you work. And different projects are going to call for different sorts of approaches. So there isn't going to be this probably like one size fits all, but yeah, I think taking it seriously is that has to be the universal here, right? That you're really taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And it can be like if like if you're like showing up late all the time, again, you could be anxious and you're like sort of avoiding the fate of having to come in and do your job. That might be something you got to work on, but um, you know being there for your shop, right? Being on time, there on time for your customers and stuff. The older I get, certainly the more importance that I feel that has, right? And just it's 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 what's right. It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do is to take it seriously and to um, you know if you need to work beforehand to do some stuff, you got to do it. If it's a part of the product that you make, that I've heard that Marcus Leonard is was a tattooer, and he's been on the reinventing drawing groups, giving critiques and stuff. amazing biomechanical tattoo artist, and he's sort of, I think, in the same camp as you, Spirit. Like he, when he gets there, he draws it on you, and that's it.
Mm.
He's gonna draw it right. He's gonna do a freehand drawing on your body, and then that is it. It turns out incredibly, right? It's an amazing product in the end.
Do y'all
It's a
have the image
process.
in your head? Like when somebody comes to you and they're like, hey, I want this tattoo, you know, girl holding an owl with a dream catcher in the back and her hair is the whatever. They don't know that the hair that you had that. So um but do you have like in the appointment will be like a week from now or 2 weeks from now? Like I'll have the image in my head for the whole time. And then by the time I get down to the paper, that's when I'll kind of put it there. I might do some thumbnails, like some rough sketches, but I'll generally have the image in my head. Do you guys have that?
I want to open up the floor a little bit. If it's something like a figure, then I'm definitely going to start with thumbnails, and then I'm going to try to go through, do my best to get that. I'm gonna do my best to get that like together. I I like anatomical accuracy when possible, and proportional sort of relationships whenever possible.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, so, like you can highly stylize it, and that can be really beautiful too. You know what I mean? So this is just probably more of a personal preference or a stylistic one. So again, I'll try to draw it, and then the more that I have, if I have some time to look at it, I'll have a more critical eye. If I have an
Mm.
extra day or two, sort of to put it aside, go about my life, and then bring it back out again. It's like, oh, okay, like that arm is a little bit long, or those fingers are, kind of fucked. There's, you know what I mean? There's all kinds of like, there's little things that that you may not, you become blind to it, right? So there's all kinds of tricks that we can use. Again, like a little bit of distance, a little bit of time between looking at it, flipping the reference, so that way it's in reverse, so you can look at it
Yeah, that's a great. Yeah, I
from a
like
different
doing that.
perspective, or in a mirror, same sort of thing, upside down. Um, but that again, it's personal preference. I think some people have a real stylized approach to, let's because of your specific example of a figure. Some people have a really stylized approach to it. Um, but I think having being able to sort of have that freedom to kind of generate like a figure, and then use some resource to investigate how the anatomy could look. I think is that's something that I enjoy, that process of it, particularly. But
I have a
yeah,
cheat
go
for
ahead.
pinups.
What's that?
Um, I don't know if you know who Dita Von Teese is.
Oh, the
She's,
cab or yeah, go ahead.
she's a famous burlesque dancer,
Burlesque.
Mm.
Yes.
and her silhouette is perfect.
Mm.
I have a cache of photos of her in different poses from her
Mm.
show. And I go to my Dita Von Teese pictures and I find the pose that would work for the pinup I'm doing, and I will trace her silhouette.
Mm.
She
Oh,
is
that's
perfect in
perfect.
proportion. And then I'll
And I
just
bet it
fill
was
in
black and
details.
white too. Is it black and white photography?
I've got a lot of black and white of her. And if it's not black and white, I will change it, because then it brings out the values and the contrast better. But her silhouette is perfect for a pinup every
Mm.
time.
Mm.
She's got
That's
that
perfect.
tiny little cinched waist and the hips, and
With
she's
the
perfectly
hip,
proportioned.
you got the whole Betty Boot thing going on.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
It also helps that she's stunning.
Word. So my question was, do you all have the image in your head? And I'd like to ask other people that, like, when if this is the assignment, and your assignment is due such and such, I'll have like it'll be fuzzy, but I'll have the
You're
general
kind of fleshing it out in your head before you put even thumbnails down.
kind of, yeah, kind of like it'll just be, you know what I mean? Do you have that, Stephen?
Yeah, I would say I have a pretty good idea what I want to do with basic description. You know, I mean, it could change depending on, you know, the client's ideas, but I pretty much know what I want to do.
Word. How about you, Elise?
I think that I'm a little bit different. This is kind of a similar question to there's this thought that some people think in words and other people think in images. And basically you test that where someone's like, oh, imagine an apple. And then the second question is, do you actually see an apple in your head, or is it like the idea of an apple in your
It's
head?
definitely the idea of an apple.
Yeah.
Like
Whereas,
fuzzy.
yeah,
I think in narrated images.
yes. And I think that's how I
narrated.
think too, which is why James, I know we've had this conversation before. I'm a visual learner because I think more in words. Like I have a constant narrative going that's kind of explaining things. So I have to see something in order to like have a better idea of how I would want it to look later, which is why for all of my projects, I have like so much reference, because once I know what it is supposed to look like, I can then have a concept of what I would like for it to look like. So typically I would need to do some research first before I know what I would like to do for a piece.
And I always tend to push back on this idea of the visual learner. I think it's both. Like we need language and imagery a lot of times. So they work in conjunction with one another often, and it's likely. I mean, that's just my sense of it. You know that like um, that we may favor images, we may favor language abstraction, right? Like language is abstract, images can feel more, as this appearance, it's immediacy. We see something, it's like it's immediate, it's there. Language abstracts it and makes it, categorizes it in some way. But I think, like because we give things names and then we can share with each other that an agreement, there's a correspondence between like this is my coffee cup. So we can share like that linguistic relationship, and then we can also sort of pair the image with it, and then so we need both. I think there's a necessity to both to have uh, to have a shared sort of experience about what it is that we're talking. That what about it is that we're referring to, so that way you can start to develop it. Because again, I mean, otherwise, like even pointing, you point at something is language, right? Body language. You're pointing at it. So I think there's a real connection between it, and I agree. Like I definitely feel more comfortable with images too sometimes, but again, we may categorize ourselves into a like a limitation. I say I only I can only deal with images or something like that. Not saying anybody here does that, but I can think it can get there, right? You can start to say reject reading, like I'm not a reader, I don't read, or something like that. Like I'm an artist, I can't draw at all. I think there's like if you put that on yourself, you know, um, becomes self-fulfilling prophecy, right? But I think there's always there's a relationship, and you may favor one side to the other. You may work better one way or another, and that's totally fine. And so,
Yeah.
but
I
yeah,
also think, yeah. Well, I also think the difference is that because I work in 3 dimensions, I have a lot more to like, I have a lot more angles that I have to make sure that everything lines up too. So if I don't have enough information, I really like if I only have one photo of something, I probably, unless it's very simple, it would be very difficult to do unless I filled in a lot of blanks.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question, Spirit. I'm sorry.
You did.
Okay.
It's hard to like explain how you think about things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, you know, it's hard to do that. So yeah.
Well, I think that this is so valuable to discuss these, like what are we, where are we really coming from? What are the things that
What are we
we think
doing
about?
here?
Yeah. Why?
How does this work?
Why? Why?
Right.
It's,
Why?
that is, that is the question. But again, that's probably, it's something that it's always going to be unfolding, in this moment, that we will, and as long as we keep asking it, probably, it becomes a richer experience, I think. It's something that becomes more, you can become more engaged with, right? Rather than just, rather than just simply going along, right? You ask questions, things that are important to you. And that's something that's going to be, that's going to serve you well, I believe. So, right, thinking versus our awareness, right? So we're aware of our, being in this moment. We're aware of the thing that we're doing, um, or the thing that is being done through us. And these are all kinds of, probably the modes that we go through, right? We're either thinking about something or we're aware of the thing that's happening. And so
That's right.
I guess and that's where drawing, I think, for me, drawing is a constant sort of like modulation or fluctuation between those two states, right? Where I'm, observing something, trying to become aware of it, trying to become more familiar, like through a visual consumption, right? It's like your eyes
A
are looking,
visual
it's like you're
consumption.
consuming it, you're taking it in and you're actually learning about it, like
To draw means to pull from.
very nice.
I definitely feel like some of my drawings have been pulled from me.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I think that's yeah, again, language, right? Language is so crucial. It reveals to us so much about what it is that's uh, the mystery of what we're experiencing. It feels sometimes unintelligible. Go back to the language, and there can be sorts of insight that you can gain, and I believe it. I really do. So anyway, I would love it if we could draw a bit. So but I figured we get back to basics, right, and do some, do a few warm-ups. So let me see here. I'll just do share my iPad. Right. Maybe. There it is. Okay. Cool. All right, so iPad. Right. So I like to practice drawing ellipses. Again, I think, there's a warm up involved, right? There's a warming up that can happen, but again, I like to relate it to perspective a lot. So uh, more on that, I think, as as we continue, to work together, hopefully I will have some explanations about how that works that can be useful for you. But of course, the basic concept is, and I will, so I'll rely on my mechanical, let me see, I can make that a bit bolder for you all. Increase the tonal value, right? So if we have a circle, nope. I'll try to. It's like that was so far from a circle. They're like, nope, that's not a. That doesn't count. Give me a circle. All right. Circle, right? Impossible. God, I'm like some of the worst. Anyway, so circle. You have a circle, right? You see the circle in perspective. Um, it should hopefully become, an ellipse, right? That's the thought. And I mean, I think if you wanna like test this theory in practice, you can definitely do it, right? You can sort of take anything that's circular, like, look at your coffee cup and you can see the opening here is elliptical. But if I can look straight at it or I can drink it, it becomes a circle, right? And that's so simple, but that's the idea, right? That when we see it in perspective, right, we're going to see this, this elliptical shape. And what's more is that, of course, this circle, for instance, it has like sort of a width and a height, right? That are the same, right? It's at all points in the circle, right? They're all equal distance from the center point, right? With an ellipse, we have this definite relationship, a longer axis and a shorter one, right? So at the center, the geometrical center where we see it, right? There's going to be this relationship. Uh, there's many different points, but you can rely on this idea of the longer axis, right, and the shorter one. And so, um, when you're thinking about like how to make your ellipse, like what's gonna, if you draw one on paper, or it's like you're starting to see it develop on skin, for example, and you're like something about it's not quite right. You try to go back to this basic idea, right, that you've got a longer axis and a shorter axis, right? And that's going to give you the ellipse, to make it look as beautiful, as elegant as it can, right? That it's going to have that sort of relationship. So long axis, short axis, right? That's something I want to sort of drill that in, keep it in mind because it can really help later on, when you start to think about like, well, how can I now make this ellipse? So again, forgive my shitty ellipse. But how
And
can I
we're
make this
talking about in the
ellipse?
real. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I won't
We're
ask a
talking
question.
about drawing in the real world, not the iPad that can help us draw the shape. Am I correct?
Exactly. Or, to be honest, I think like having some understanding can help you use this tool, the iPad, much more effectively, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is not to take away from tracing things out. I think it's so important. Tracing is an important practice. It's something that we do, as tattoo artists. We do it all the time. You know, Again, you were talking about the Renaissance earlier. Like that's something that was like the practice of the artisans was like they would just like trace or reproduce the same you know images all the time, right? They'd have the cartoons, they'd have the stencil of what they were going to paint on the fresco on the wall, right? And that was what they would do. The people that we remember the most are the composers, the ones who like sort of made the designs and stuff for people to follow. But I think that the point that I want to make is like here's some basic like sort of thoughts about how this ubiquitous form, this thing that's everywhere, you see it all the time. Again, like I was saying, before, everywhere you look, you see eye level. Everywhere you look, right? Eye level is involved in it. And so, again, if you can stylize things, you can make them, you know, you can make them sort of, I guess, almost abstracting them, but to bring about appearance, sort of convincing appearance, can be another goal. Then you have to do the abstraction first. If that makes sense. I know that maybe sounds weird, but like, like as the composer, as the one who's going to compose the image, you have to do the abstraction, and then it becomes this more immediate appearance for your audience, for the viewer. Um, so it just depends on what you're going for. These are conventions, right? The whole idea of eye level, it's a convention. It's made up, but it does help. Like language, it's like a language. It helps us communicate in a way that's can be intelligible for an audience, if that helps, right? So anyway, sort of thinking about how would you place an ellipse in space to make it do the thing you want. Like, if you wanted it to be like there's a the ring of Saturn or something like that. I'm terrible. It's so hard to
Yeah.
do it. But the rings of Saturn, like how do you make that, like, so which direction are you looking at? Are we looking, up at the what's lacking? So are we looking like from the bottom up at Saturn, right? Right, and then that's the one that goes behind, right? Or are we looking down at Saturn? Like, are we up above it or down below? Whatever the case may be. And so to be able to give you the freedom to compose this thing the way that you like, again, like you see it in your mind's eye. We were talking about that. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more with you all. Like I think that's where it begins, but it's a totally different matter. Like getting it out, right? And then there's also, again, and not to take away from it, you might go on an image search for like, this represents what I'm thinking pretty close. And so now I'm going to copy this reference. Nothing wrong with that. But if you have a vision that that's really specific in your mind's eye, and then you want to try to, sort of create it, I think a good process to think about is like a thumbnail sketch, right? And then getting down into some ideas about how the perspective may work, and then the tonal value, and then finally some color, and then I think you're well on your way to generating your own compositions. Like that would be the thought that'd be my pitch, right? Just to sell it to you. So anyway, so ellipses, right? They are important, I think, and a good warm up. And so a good way to think about it, or a good way to practice these, I think, kind of helps maybe generate a little bit more continuity, so they become you get stronger at them, right? It's like something. I'm going to draw them and they're going to be terrible, but at the same time, like, I'm going to know, like, I can look at it and say, like, this is out of balance here, right? And that comes with experience, right? So a way that I like to do it, so forgive me, so try to try my best. I'm going to try to draw a circle. Okay, I'll just go around the oh, look, so flat over there. Okay.
Have you ever seen this
But
bunch of
again, I'm warming up, and so there's I keep yammering on, but I'm warming up, and I think like there's always going to be this sort of jurisdiction between like how far that your wrist can go, and that's important, right? I think Guy Aitchison talks about that a lot when you're drawing a thumbnail sketch. He likes to kind of keep it within that jurisdiction of where your wrist can sort of take you. I think that's a good way to think of it. I think a problem can happen when you go to start, if you're like sort of shading something and you're just doing this sort of like haphazard, like, just whipping your wrist around. I think you can get hurt that way. So I think if you're sort of carefully, you're thinking about your own, your own mechanics, like how you can do things, and moving in a judicious way, then that's fine, right? But I think when you like sort of unconsciously like, I gotta shade this in, and you're just like just going like that, like crazy, like you can hurt yourself, right? Carpal tunnel and all the rest. So anyway, for these warm-ups, I like to think about like moving the shoulder, moving the elbow, right? And then there's so less about these warm-ups can be less about the wrist and more about the rest of the arm. Again, you're going to use your wrist for, a lot of your use your fingers, for all the fine movements you'll need. But so many
Your
times I
shoulders.
find like when I'm tattooing, it's like I need to like I might need to pull a line that's kind of longer than my wrist, can take me. So I may need to sort of like, be able to, to sort of move my hand independently, not braced, right? I can start to get it. So yeah, having that, building, doing your exercises and stuff can help. So anyway, so start with do your best, right? Do a circle. And then I like to draw an ellipse that sort of fits inside of it. Again, go around the track a couple times. It's and the thought being again, like, there's like this circle is a sphere and it's divided in the middle. I can see that sort of division. Next, I'll go a vertical one, right? So horizontally, vertically. Ooh. Give it a little bit of angle, right? And one more crossed. Tell it's been a while. So anyway, yeah. So I like this form because why it's there's the circle 1, 2, ellipse 3, 4, and 5, right? You've drawn 5 things and they connect, and you can kind of see like you can kind of see how they how you did, right? You can judge it. And so I think this can be a really effective way to again, you can just warm up by just doing them. And I think there's a value in that. I like to go clockwise, counterclockwise, go in different orientations, like whatever. Don't get stuck in just doing it one way. Of course, there may be a way that you just simply are better at, right? We're talking about visual learning and language and stuff like, you're better with images, let's say, right? You're better going clockwise or you're better going counterclockwise, whatever you're better at an angle, right? Whatever, however you draw them, they become more that short axis, long axis relationship shows up more clearly when you draw it at this particular way. Knowing that about yourself is important. But that's the point of this practice, is to get over that stuff and practice it. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 5, 12. So I like to do 50 of these. So 13, 14. I'm taking this seriously. Trust me. We're talking about seriousness earlier. I am being serious here. But again, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about it. Get it out now. It's terrible. You can laugh at yourself a bit. You know what I mean? You can enjoy it, right? I think the thing I like to remember is that, like, it's never gonna be perfect. You probably, to be honest, you're not really gonna approach what you could do mechanically here. Right? Again, like we use this iPad all the time. If I hold it long enough, it's gonna snap to ellipse or circle, right? As we demonstrated earlier. Or you can use a template, right? Having a template, a mechanical reproduction of it. I think those are all ways that that we can use, especially if we really want a nice appearance. But practicing it, I think, can be valuable because you want to get warmed up. You know what I mean? You want to have fun. Drawing should be fun too, I think. I really do. But it should be something that you get some enjoyment out of. Yeah, so I definitely have this tendency, right? I can sort of spot, like, I have a tendency, like, right here, sort of flatten it out. And it's like something about how my arm is moving. You know what I mean? Maybe something I can work on, identify it. This comes through that repetition. The knowledge or the understanding can come through that repetition. Yeah.
I think that's because you're right-handed. I think if you're left-handed, you have a flat spot on the other side.
What?
I can attest to that.
Hold on, let me see. That's a good because I'm left-handed. So let me see.
Where are your imperfections at? Right?
My wobbly side is
Mine's on the
always-
left side. Yeah, that's yep. Because it's easier for me to pull than it is to push.
Yeah.
Like when I push, that's when things get a little wonky.
Should have done more push-ups in gym class.
It was Giotto in the early Renaissance who drew the perfect circle for the Pope.
Oh.
The Pope was like, he asked his squire, he was like, hey, go to Giotto and get him to draw a picture for us. So just to prove that he is who we want. And the guy went to him and Giotto drew a perfect circle. And he was like, take that. And the guy was like, what is this? He was like, just take that. Please just understand that I drew a perfect circle. And he was like, just take this to him. This is all you need, I promise. He's like, oh, okay. And certainly, of course, it was.
Do you know who else can draw a perfect circle?
Who?
SpongeBob SquarePants.
What?
Have you seen the how SpongeBob draws a perfect circle clip?
No, I haven't.
No, it's very convoluted. So it's a storyline where SpongeBob and Squidward are both taking art classes, and the teacher's like, "Oh, draw a circle for me." And of course, Squidward's look like how our circles are turning out. But then SpongeBob has this perfect circle. So then eventually he gets upset with him. He's like, how are you drawing a perfect circle? So he's like, well, first I draw, he draws a completely rendered head. And then he's like, I erase the eyes and I erase the chin and then I erase all of this stuff. And then there's a circle left behind. And there's this perfect circle left at the end. So whenever you talk about circles, it just reminds me of SpongeBob drawing a head to get a circle.
So funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
I think the other thing that helps to think about when doing these is that there's a saying that if something's not good, then it better be funny.
Yeah, that's this for sure. Well, anyway, I think well, I'm feeling warmed up, nice and warmed up. And so again, it's kind of like you may come up with other, sorts of, approaches to this, just to get yourself, in the drawing frame of mind. And I know we've talked about it before. I know Spirit has attested to this too, but there's just something about, you get warmed up before you really get into the drawing of something, and it make a big difference, I think. I certainly notice when when I'm going into something cold and it's like hitting that wall of, frustration. It's not working. It's not, it's not flowing the way that you wish it would. And so, taking a minute and just working out the kinks, I think can be, it can be valuable. It really can. Okay, cool. So I did some gesture drawings over the last week, and I'll share some of them. Let's see. I did some quick ones. These were fairly quick. I'll just sort of rifle through them. Where's that one again? But quick, right? I think they were like 3 minutes or something like that. I should write that down. Very fast and too much detail in the face and stuff. But I think it was like I really tried to observe myself, think about like what it was I was doing, and so when I drew this one, I was like, yeah, it started to make the most sense to me as far as like how to approach these really quick ones, because it's how I would try to approach a longer sketch, but without the um, without like all of the really tedious measurements. And so the thing I was looking at with this, with this guy was, I'll draw another color. Um, I was looking at like this envelope. Talked about that before, right? If I sort of imagine a line that sort of goes through here, right? And then I imagine another one that goes through there, right? Again, I might sort of another edge, basically coming up with a shape that could hold this guy, right? So I don't get out of proportion, out of whack, like the really short legs or the really long legs. It's start off with this idea of like there's going to be a top, and then there's going to be a lower edge, and then there's going to be a middle, and then this envelope, right? This sort of like trying to relate this more basic shape. Like the shape of the figure is more complicated, but like this basic sort of shape. And then I really focused on the negative spaces, right? The spaces that were not part of the figure. Carving out that stuff and looking at it, like I wasn't worried about this hand. You know what I mean? I wasn't worried about, like so I'll go back, to this one. It's like look at that stupid face. You know what I mean? Terrible. Because I'm like looking at the face, I'm like, oh, I want to get this face. It's like, nah, that's a detail. That's not gonna, you know what I mean? That's not gonna convey the figure. It's like if the figure is well, conceived, and then you put a beautiful face on it, it starts to work, right? But if you go for that face, you know what I mean, and the figure doesn't have its relationship, it's like, again, it's sort of like, or the face ruins the figure. Maybe the figure has some other quality that's more expressive, or or more, there's more of a continuity. Bad face could sort of ruin that. Anyway, just sort of just thinking about it, like all the negative spaces that were present. I also thought about alignments, right? There's an edge here of this foot, and it aligns, let's see, like pretty close. There's a little bit of a distance here between the side of the face, right, and this foot. But getting that relationship, I thought was helpful, right? I could see, all right, there's, if I had this foot like, way inside here, and the head was sort of, the head was, let's see, we could tip it, right? The head was out here, right? It would look like they're going to tip over, right? But instead, because I looked at it, I was able to convey this idea that the feet are carrying the weight of the figure. And the head itself is always if it's balanced, then the figure looks like it's gonna be balanced, right? Even if like, so if you're all the way tipping over, it's like, oh, it looks like you're gonna fall. There's that's what we're used to seeing, we're conditioned to see. So if so if something's tipped but the head is still in balance, right? You're leaning, but the head still, the head still is upright or is balanced, then you could say like, oh, there's just a lean that's happening, right? You're conveying all sorts of information this way. Right. But rather than trying to draw the thing, I tried to think about what, wasn't it first, and then go into, more of the details and stuff. So I liked that one. I thought it was a step in the right direction. Sort of, again, simple, yeah, terrible hand, but like, I think the figure was like a cloaked figure. I thought it was, I thought it was pretty effective. And then I did a few 10-minute ones, right?
What?
So it was a 10-minute one, just a quick study. But I think again, it was more. I didn't go for the face until like more towards the the end. Like the figure was more fleshed out. And I didn't really even try to do this, to work on the saxophone really. Again, I could say that there's some proportional issues, but it's a little closer, I think, and certainly like as a gesture that has some rendering, I was pretty happy. This one is a little awkward.
Damn, she thick. Sorry.
Well, she was like sitting on a box, right? So like flying, but like on this box, and so had this, yeah, like you can see both, both sides of. We're looking down, right? We can look down and we can see the buttocks flatly, right? So there's that whole idea. Um, and so, and there was a skirt sort of puffed out and stuff too. But I think, again, maybe too many details. Probably, if I'm not sure where I'm at, but
Her
probably
legs are
like
so.
having a bit
her
more,
legs are
like sort of a bit more of the
That's crazy.
the cage. You know what I mean? Of the rib cage here. That probably this shoulder needed to come back slightly. You know what I mean? It's just sort of like there's a proportional issue. You get caught up in the details of it, So it's like when you're trying to draw fast, you want to, you want it to be nice, but let's see. Yeah, and then this last one, I was pretty happy with it, So it was again 10 minutes, with 10 minutes a day, just sort of taking some time and doing it. I enjoyed the process, and then I really was trying to have a critical eye and think about like how can I approach it? How can I make it more again like how can I get better results, right, in the particular format that I'm using, right? I'm trying to do this quick thing.
This is from Quick Pose?
Yes. Yeah, these are so they're
okay.
clothed figures from Quick Pose. And I liked we were using Pose Maniacs too, and I like that one also. But it's good to it's good to switch it up a little bit. So,
yeah, this is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out to Medusa for she brought our figure drawing practice back to our attention. So anyway, I wanted to show really a couple of my drawings that I've been working on this week, and just I think what I would say again is that this one I definitely thought about again an envelope, this linear sort of envelope that could simple, right? Just a simple like what could hold the figure, and then also that there's a top, right? There's a bottommost part, and then there's going to be a center. There's going to be a halfway between, and so sort of thinking about trying to relate those two amounts, those two volumes, right? That these two halves. It helps to keep it in balance, right? So, and then what was nice too, with the clothed figure is like it just sort of takes away some of all of the complexity of the body.
Kyle Rose said, "Beautiful job, James."
Oh, thank you. Anyways, I figured that we're all warmed up. We're looking at figures. Why don't we draw some? So I've got this quick poses, should be all lined up. Why don't we start off? We'll do just a couple of 2-minute ones, and then I think we could probably get away with doing a 10-minute one. I think that would be fun. So that, yeah, just setting it here. Okay. All right, let me share it with y'all. And so cool. So I think we're ready to start. Okay. Clothed and yeah, whatever. But the show gets demonetized when we show too much nudity, so we have to we try to watch it. But anyway, we're gonna do a couple. We'll just do a couple of 2-minute ones. Have a good time with it. And I would think, I would just say, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I'm sorry, man.
No,
it's kind of hard to, when we're zooming. Which brush were you using for that charcoal effect? Oh, here we go, charcoal. Yeah, was it charcoal block?
I was using the HB pencil brush
Oh,
from
wow.
from the drawing. So what's nice though is that like so if you hold it like linearly, it'll make a nice fine line. But you can also hold it to the side, and you can use the whole side of your stylus, and it makes a broader mark.
Okay, word. Cool.
So I think it's not the same. It tries to replace what a pencil can do, but it's not the same thing. But try different ones. Try the charcoal block. I think that's a fun one to use. Um, for sure, it's a fun one to use. Let me get rid of my nonsense. All right. Also, you may want to try. I think this would be perfectly valid and fun, especially so if you're working on paper, if you have toned paper, you have paper that's like could be you could draw on a paper bag right, from the grocery store, right? Like that has the brown paper bag has a really wonderful tone to it. So you can draw on it. You
Mm.
could add white charcoal or something, and sort of you get like you get more of a range that can be nice.
That's
It's
also a
toned
very good way
paper
to
that
learn how to draw on tattoo on black skin.
Mm.
yeah,
I'm serious.
give yourself some variety. You know what I mean? I think uh, that's a great point.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I interrupt you a lot, James. I'm sorry. I
No,
just
no,
do.
I'm just going on and on today. I don't mean to.
Zoom makes
I'm
talking
excited.
hard.
It does. It does, at least.
All right, I think we're all set. Uh, if you're on your iPad, you can also tone your paper right at the with the background color. That's something that you can give that a try, and then of course like maybe you can add a little white highlight or something like that. That might be something that you find effective. So sure, why not? Let's try it out. All right, 2 minutes. Better go. Better get started.
Oh shit.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Anyway,
My language.
again, it's you might do a quick envelope, to kind of get an idea. It's going to be a middle point, rib cage, pelvis, the masses, right? The biggest masses that you can start to get. That might be a good sort of way to sort of get things going. But with only 2 minutes, is like again, there's just so little information that you can really commit to. So however it is that you sort of approach it, you can always sort of crop in and do a smaller area rather than the whole figure. um, I think that's something that's can be really effective. But yeah,
I've been really enjoying working alongside younger tattoo artists and learning from them, seeing how they're doing things lately. I've been learning a lot, just coming off my high horse, thinking I know everything.
Mm.
It's been very valuable
I am.
because a lot of them,
Yeah.
because a lot of them, didn't have apprenticeships, so they had to kind of like teach themselves a lot of the stuff, and so um, that's valuable in and of itself. So if you taught yourself and you're this good, then I want to learn from you too. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I don't know. I think it's amazing that you have that. It's a great attitude to have, you know what I mean? That you can be with, your colleagues and, um, you know, share, have like, there's always got to be that camaraderie, right? Otherwise it just can be very, very painful to work with.
Very painful.
Mm.
Absolutely. Yeah. It can be very isolating too. In other words. Because that's how that's kind of how I came up. No, you got to hate on the younger generation. You got to tell them they don't know what they're doing. Tell them, oh, this, that, and the third, and like have no one like you in the industry. Have no one want to be around you because you hate on everybody all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, that's not how it's supposed to work.
Sounds very much like my first apprenticeship.
Oh no. Yeah, I've heard some horror stories about apprenticeships about stuff similar.
Mm-hmm.
One of my friends actually had to quit theirs because it was getting toxic.
Oh wow, I can imagine. Because there's no regulations really in the tattoo shop. You know what I mean? Like we don't really have to treat you a certain way. Especially in South Carolina, it's a right to work state. So
this guy.
Hey, is it too late to because I know that they said enrollment ends on February the 19th, so that was yesterday. I meant to enroll, but I did not get around to.
I am not sure, but you could always contact Sandy at
All right, cool.
reinventingthetattoo.com and ask. So I think
Okay,
that
cool.
might be, like if you're really interested, give it a shot. I'm not sure what they'll say, but they do open it up.
Mhm.
I don't know if is it once a year or is it? I'm not sure when they open it up, but give it a try. It'd be great to have all of you there for sure. But it's wonderful, sort of opportunity to have that experience, hypothetical client, and then again you get some feedback. It's a lot of extra work, right? You've got your job, on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a personal, like enrichment. But
And you take it at your own pace, is that correct?
I mean, basically, yeah. I think you really
Mm-hmm.
can. Steven, what's what do you think about the curriculum?
I couldn't recommend it enough, but I don't think it's at your own pace. I mean, you got a week to work on it. Your assignment. If you snooze, you lose, man. If you don't turn it in, ain't nobody gonna wait on you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, I think so. That makes perfect sense. That's how it goes. Yeah, if you don't do it, you don't do it, it's on, oh well.
Yeah, everybody's in the
But you want to, I mean, you really want to.
yeah. Nobody's gonna beat you up over it. They're just gonna move on.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's I've taken art classes at galleries. I've had private art lessons. I've done education for a long time, and it's just as good as anything I've paid a whole lot more for. That's for sure. You definitely.
Even just on the artistic level, like aside from tattooing.
Yeah, for sure. I think anybody that wanted to learn anything about art, would benefit from it.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
So there are exercises that you can, you can join up for that. But then there's also the curriculum that you can, so you get access to the, sort of going over what's in reinventing the tattoo.
Oh, that 2 minutes goes so
Oh my
Goes by
God.
so
fast.
fast. All right, we'll do
Right.
this last one, and then we'll do a 10-minute one. So this I see a triangular shape, right? Like I think I see several, so kind of thinking about like, all right, just a big sort of triangle, and then and there's a negative space for the legs, like a triangle forms. Um, maybe even so if that's helpful at all, rather than sort of starting off with like a particular body part, you know what I mean, with a particular part of the anatomy, you kind of give yourself that shape, um, that big shape to go with first, and then everything else can you can start to relate it. And this is just for the sketch, but I think what it can do, it can start to help you to train your eye to see these sorts of relationships fast, right? To see it right away. So no matter what it is that you're doing, a longer form, you have just that much more ability to sort of have insight into it. Cool. All right. Awesome. Um,
Oh,
well, I would love to kind of see everybody's drawings. Why don't we let's take a minute and just we can show our drawings real quick, and then again, I think we can do, yeah, one more session of like we'll do a 10-minute drawing, and that would be, I think, a lot of fun.
yeah.
Yeah, let's show what you got. And so
Oh,
Are we showing?
yeah,
oh,
show them.
Oh.
Who's going first?
Here, looks like Steven's ready. Let me pin you up here, Steven.
All right, mine are not loose. That's for sure.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, no, I love it. I think I really like the dynamic one, the kicking one. I think that one is like it's got a real that one has a lot of just like I said, dynamic quality to it. Um, and then the panda bear one is charming.
Mhm.
The one is very charming. Um, yeah, no. So what do you think? Like as you were sort of working through it, was there any sort of did anything become apparent to you awareness wise? Were you thinking about certain things different way?
Um, I'd be honest with you. I felt I haven't done any figure drawing since the last time we did figure drawing together. So I feel like I was pretty tight. But the more I did, the looser I got. I felt pretty confident scribbling out the last one there, the girl sitting down. Like you said, you had that nice triangle shape to work with. I tried to think about uh, as far as relationships of like you're showing, like with the feet to the head. Maybe you kind of got a straight line somewhere to have a starting point. Start kind of cutting it out, if you will. So
No, excellent.
mm.
Yeah, excellent. And so, well, I think that there's a lot of value to doing it, and I think that you can actually come up with something that becomes really aesthetically pleasing in its own right. Like sketches can be so beautiful. So anyway,
Sure. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah,
Thank
very
you.
nice work. Cool. All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go.
All right, Elise.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Okay. So I don't know. I've always done better at gestures, doing more of like a scribble effect, just because it's more like I'm carving out the figure, and like the more information I have on there, I can kind of calculate where the next piece is going to be, even if it's not necessarily the most anatomically correct thing. I can kind of correct for that later, just to get the movement of it, because otherwise it kind of gets too stiff. So I was going more for the movement of the poses rather than the anatomical correctness. Yeah.
It makes sense to me, especially with the
think,
time given, to do a gesture to kind of get that movement. I think that's
yeah. I do think my panda, here I'll zoom in on my panda. I think he came out a little pirate looking. But yeah.
So the one with the I think the extended leg. Let's see.
The jumping
that one
guy?
again. The jumper one, yeah, very cool. But lower right hand side, that one,
This one.
yeah, that is a real, I think, proportionate relationship that I think is it's really starting to work. And again, it's that idea, all of them kind of they seem pretty good at this, but the idea of like sort of supporting the head, right? The body supports the head. So when you're doing you're trying to get the gesture, there's the movement, but then there's also that like, the notion, like it's sort of the body is supporting the head, and
Yeah.
that starts to, I think, be an important part of the, what it is, the activity. Doing. So, thank you. All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go. Oh, do you want to go, Amber? I saw you picking up a group.
Next.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
So the kicking dude was difficult. He was difficult, I'm not gonna lie. I like the panda guy. This was kind of hard to render because the hat, kind of the hat's weird.
It was also at a strange angle.
Yeah. And of course, what is it? 3 minutes? 10 seconds?
It was only, we're 2 minutes. We were doing 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It was very short amount of time.
Yeah. But it's cool to catch the essence of these figures. I'll say that like while you're drawing it, it's just like, God, this is so hard. Oh my God. And then you move on, and you look at it at the end, and it's like, oh, that actually looks pretty good. You know what I mean? Like
yes.
You're able to capture it.
Once the initial panic, you get past it.
Yeah.
Well, so I thought the panda one was super cool. And so I thought, just sort of like, really proportionate, right? So the whole figure, like it looked like a person with a panda head on top. You know what I mean? It's like, so there was a lot. And then of course the gesture holding the, I think it had just because of the quickness of it, it could have been a wand or it could have been a sword either way. You know what I mean? It sort of worked on both levels, but yeah, no, excellent work overall. Amber, let's check yours out.
I'm all analog.
That's cool. Here, let me pin you. So we can see it. Okay. Nice. Yeah, awesome kicking guy.
Yeah, he was pretty
Panda
fun.
looks so good. Oh, yeah, that kicking guy
Panda's
was
so
great.
I see the tape on the guy's nipples, which was like, it was a little bit disconcerting for sure, but it was but yeah, no, I see
Thought
that.
it was funny. I had to add it.
No, very nice. And then again, I see you kind of went with the triangle shape for the last figure too. I can see that movement. So you all, I mean, I thought that was like, it was like you saw it and you're like, oh, that's obvious. But I see that you all sort of drew a triangle to sort of envelope it. I
Mhm.
thought I think that's a really great way to go. You know what I mean? Especially such a closed in sort of, you know, such a closed in pose. It's like
Exactly.
see that. Same thing with the kicking guy. He kind of had a big triangle that would have shaped him out as well. You know what I mean? Like it could have been slightly, more trapezoidal or something. But yeah, no, I really liked your panda guy. Had a lot of a lot of character to it. Yeah, it's super fun.
Looked like the villain for Scooby-Doo.
They were no really oh, these were fun. I will share mine again. God. Hold on. Hold on. Elevator music. Ah, that's it. Okay.
Oh,
Okay. So yeah, so there's my
nice.
seated figure. Yeah, weird. Feet, or for whatever reason, feet got away from me, I think. But yeah, no, maybe a little bit too narrow here. So probably sort of could have the whole thing probably could have been pushed a little bit, slightly differently. But anyway, but yeah, no, for me I could see that there was the bottom had a the bottom of the triangle had a bit of an angle to it, and that really kind of pushed the figure forward in space. Um, so I thought that was again just interesting kind of observation. There's my kicking guy. Um,
Cool.
yeah, weird kind of foot over here. I don't know what's going on with that. Weird foot. But I'm like avoiding the facial details, which I think is that was my panda bear guy. Um, a little bit of face on that. That was fun.
Yours doesn't look menacing at all.
Thanks. Yeah, there's that guy with the tape on his nipples. So one thing I thought that was that I observed was there was certainly like a tip, um, this angle here of um, the clavicles of the collarbones. So that's something that I try to look for as an anatomical reference. So whenever you're looking, it's the collarbones, there's going to be an angle to it, right? So when you look, you may sort of notice like, oh, it's tipping more one way or the other. Same thing with the hips. Go to the next one and see if you can see that. So right, like again, there's a bit of a tip, bit of an angle here to the collarbone area. Here at the hips, sort of slight angle this way. This I would suggest is a slight contrapposto pose, right? So you get this sort of shifting. Shoulders kind of go one way, and then hips go the other. Right? So it's sort of a shifting of balance of the weight. And so when you see that, it's like that can give, again, there's this dynamic sort of movement of the figure. But if you start to see that structure, it's almost like the anti-flow, the structure, the linear and horizontal structure of the body going in different directions, that can also provide a bit of sort of dynamic kind of movement as well.
What I find interesting is that, just how do I put this right? Like it doesn't have to be, this might sound weird, but it doesn't actually have to be a woman in order for me to be aroused by it. You know what I mean? Like you could just do the bare bone, like this figure, you can see the S curve, right? And so this, I understand how perverted this might sound, but just this overall my observance of this, but just this the bare bones of this image, it looks like a sexy feminine pose. You know what I mean? And you know what I'm saying? And but this is just a basic sketch, but my brain registers this as such. You know, possibly because it is the S curve, and we really like the S curve as humans.
Yes, I agree with your sentiments for sure, and you know, I think there's a certainly sort of having that movement that kind of goes through, you know, and so whatever, you know, so excited by, there's some kind of like interest that sort of
It's a
gets sparked. Yeah, it can be very. I think there's all kinds of psychology, you know, that's that we could psychoanalyze, you know, quite a bit. But I think, yeah, I think that uh, yeah, I think that there's so much that we can that we communicate through our drawings that are, you know, there's absolutely kind of like it's unsaid, but again, it's kind of like, you know, we were talking about like image and language and how those things interact. You can't necessarily, you know, I think, you know, identify it like perfectly, right? What can be shown, right, can't be said, right? So these are the things that I think are, you know, this is really what we're hopefully the heart of the matter we're trying to get to. So I love that. I think that's great. All right, let's see. Let's do, um, yeah, let's do one more 10-minute one, and then we'll wrap it up for the day. So I think we're sharing it, and then so I'm gonna do a custom 1,000 seconds. Hopefully that works. And clothes, we have clothes on. Since we're gonna be working on it for a few minutes, I think we can, you know, if we're not feeling the first one, we could definitely like do, we could switch it out to the next. So, this one's kind of nice. It's a lot of fabric and stuff. Um, let's
Oh
do it.
wow, look at that. Good
Yeah, why
gracious.
not?
I
Wow.
thought you were just like, I thought you were just showing it to us. I was like, oh, that's a
Yeah,
nice
no, I was
magazine
like,
artwork.
this is the let's draw. I think we can draw this one. So again, I
Oh
think
god.
here's what I would say as you're starting to analyze it. We've got 10 minutes. Like those other ones that we just drew were so fast. So take a moment, look at the subject, and start
I'm
to maybe
panicked.
think about like how can I break this down in
Yeah.
simple shapes and stuff first, right? And then you know, I want to avoid like all of the details, um, and allow those to emerge right out of what it is that I'm working on. So let me see here. But try a few different, you know, of your brushes, right? If you have brushes, or you know, like again, perhaps, you know, if you're working analog like Amber is, you could always hold your pencil, you know, instead of like you're writing sentences, you could always maybe try to hold it, you know, between
on
your
the
thumb and your
side.
forefinger, right? Where you can sort of move it around like this. That could be really useful. You can also do that with your stylus too, for that matter. I think there's you know, there's all kinds of ways that you can go about it. But one thing I might do is like I may hold my stylus up, close one eye, right, and sort of hold it up and find an angle, right, and then I can always take my angle back to my paper. That can be very useful. I mean, just sort of giving you a basic notion. So I see a triangle shape again.
Mhm.
I definitely see a triangle. Um, but then yes, there's gonna be, you know, some middle point to the triangle. And I want to look and sort of see like where in this, you know, the figure that I'm trying to capture, what is the middle point of it. I think that can be useful. Block in the head. So I see the shoulders, right? I can see the collarbones. There's an angle to it, right? They're each going at a specific angle, but if I just sort of look at generally, right? Generally the collarbones, um, there's an overall kind of relationship that they have. Again, this is going to be like, it's the perspective, right? It's related to eye level. It's related to, this figure in space. So I'm not going to worry about each individual, the way the bones are going, but just like the direction that they're kind of have to each other. So in this particular case, right, the head itself is sort of tipped downward. We can see, see just a bit of like overlap, right? The muscles, there's a sort of triangular shaped muscle behind the neck. It's called the trapezius. So when you're looking, you see shoulder, you see trapezius, you see the neck. The chin is sort of slightly in front of trapezius there. It's what what gym bros they call the traps, right? Traps. So I don't want to alarm everybody, but I think we're probably already at we've already gone 2 or 3 minutes. So.
Oh my God.
I know. So get it blocked in. I'm like talking about details and stuff. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. We don't need all those details. But instead, right, try to focus in on some of that basic stuff. How can you convey this, this basic forms without, worrying about superfluous details at this point? Does anybody have any fun, exciting projects coming up this week?
Yeah, I'm working on
This week.
What happened?
I officially signed my contract this week.
Hey.
Yeah, what contract, Amber?
My apprenticeship contract.
Nice.
I've already been putting in hours, but now that we're sure we're a good fit and everything, I'm signing the contract and learning about piercing and everything too.
Oh, that's so nice. Welcome. We're so excited to have you. It's tattooing the tattoo work.
Back.
Huh?
I am excited to be back.
Yes. Yes, we've missed you too.
It's actually interested in getting me my license, not just making sure I'm not their competition.
See, the pie is big enough to go around. The more people tattooing, the more people getting tattooed.
Isn't that the way?
You know?
Great way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I heard on the radio a couple weeks ago that the industry is like $2 billion. It's a $2 billion industry, the the tattooing body art industry. And it's sort of projected to become a $4 billion industry like in the next decade or something like that. So
Nice. So it's gonna double. That's what's up.
yeah, yeah. So it's probably all the more important to really become active and engaged with like how legislation gets written, how
Mm-hmm.
the rules are going to get written. You
Mhm.
know, these are there are already rules that we follow, but there's going to be more. You know, because it's becoming a very big business. Um,
Yeah. Do you know the nature? I know we talked about it a little bit last week, but do you know the nature of like you described it as coming down the pipeline, but like what actually changed um in legislation altogether? You know what I'm saying? Like,
hmm. Well, there's there's a great Discord group that I just joined very recently, and
Mhm.
it was created uh, by Ben Shaw, and so and I left I may have put it um, in the chat last time, but I could put it back in the chat again. But you can also look it up. You know, if you look up his Ben Shaw archetype website, you can get access to the Discord server there, where they're talking about different legislation for different regions because that's how it is. It's a patchwork of laws. So you know the
oh,
laws
okay.
in South Carolina are going to be different than the laws in Indianapolis. Going to be different than the laws in Ohio. Going to be different than the laws in
Kidding.
Oregon, yeah, and New Jersey, right? Everywhere is different, and so but I would imagine at some point there may be, you know, there may become some sorts of regulations that become more federal, right? Or, you know, sort of
Mm-hmm.
nationalized. I could only imagine that it's probably going to be the case.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of, once they're there, they're really hard to get rid of, right?
Mm.
So once they're in place, right, you're subject to them. So
Mm-hmm.
how do
So there
you,
was nothing on the federal level that's changed. Is it just a kind of like, all these states are kind of like buddies, and so they just kind of get together and they're like, hey, we're going to start legislating on a local level, on a state level about, tattooing and salons or something like that.
as
Is
far
it
to
kind of
my
like that?
knowledge, I don't know if there's anything that's you know that has changed on the national level just
Gotcha.
yet. But
Gotcha.
it is, you know, it's something that you know to be aware of. Um,
Yeah.
so it's certainly been brought to my consciousness, and you know, I think it's um, so as a community we get together and you know try to support each other through this, you know, this time, you know, through these
What's the
things,
Discord?
changes. I will
Would you say the Discord? Oh,
I
yeah.
will send it. I will send it to you
Sweet.
all.
Thank you.
I'll put it in the chat after I stop sharing. But I will put it in the chat. But yeah, it's so again, you can also look up Ben Shaw, and he has um, a link tree site that has access to the Discord server there. Um, but it's other than that, I'm not. You know, I mean, you know there's going to be probably you know it's got to be a local thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the Alliance of Professional Tattooists. So I recently, I can't remember if I'd ever joined before or not. You know, I may have. I know that you know, first shop I ever worked at, they were, you know, very, very pro uh, APT. Um, but I went ahead and paid my dues. Um, got on board with it. So I think it's, you know, again, it's just it's a collective that, you know, if you're a professional tattooer, you should consider joining. because they, we're gonna speak on our behalf, represent us on our behalf, and that's important. So right, back to the drawing. So one other thing that I may suggest is, we're looking at it, and something that can help once you kind of have some things sort of dialed in, you may want to add some rendering. So a good way to go about it would be, I would squint my eyes, right? So you squint, and so as you squint your eyes, what comes out, or what like sort of becomes noticeable is what's darkest and what's lightest, right? So as I'm looking, I can see the hair is like the darkest dark. That's just my, from what I'm seeing. And there's a lot of really fine, small darks, right where the dress sort of meets the ground. So very small little shadows underneath there. That gives a nice edge, I think, a nice border to the composition. Right, so you're thinking about it. Again, there's shadows behind. We're kind of, you may or may not like work on the space as much, but I look also and I squint and I see, that the background is kind of darker than that white, like so on her left side, her arm, there's the puff, that sort of the puff of the dress by the shoulder, right? The background is like darker than that. But then the arm itself, right, there's a shadow on that, just that edge, and that is darker than the background, if you notice. So kind of like push that shadow edge a little bit darker. Same thing with the shoulder to the trapezius to the neck, right on that left side. It's not as dark as the hair is, but it certainly has it's darker than the background. So as you're thinking about it, and maybe a sort of a way that you can render the line that's that again tries to express that relationship. It could be a contoured edge that you have, right? Maybe you could put a little bit of rendering in the background there, just to sort of express it. But I think, however you decide to do it, just becoming sort of mindful of the positive, the negative relationship, the posneg, like something is darker, something is lighter. That helps to really convey, what it is that you're trying to express. I think in an elegant way, right? In a way that sort of can be intelligible too, right? So even outside of the, like the aesthetic, right? The aesthetic kind of comes from this, all these relationships that you're developing, but you're ultimately conveying information, kind of like, again, like we were saying, like you're kind of abstracting so as to demonstrate for the audience like what it is they're supposed to pay attention to. This again may not control what they do, but certainly you can start to express for them what's important, degrees of importance, or focal points, if you will. And then you may finish off with a sharper contour, maybe. That could be nice. All right.
Oh God.
Get out of here.
I feel like I was uncharacteristically quiet because I was concentrating.
Yeah, everybody was like focused on their drawing, and then that guy. So yeah, pencils down, stop. I'm done. I'm done. I'm not. Quit. That was something that my old drawing teacher used to say, right? Like, don't noodle. Don't noodle around. It's important. You kind of having some decisiveness. At least, like that's what you're demonstrating. I think can be really powerful. So, All right, I will here. Let me I'll show mine real quick, and then yeah, definitely I'd love to see everybody's. So here's mine. Eventually, yeah, okay, yeah. So there's mine.
Mm.
Um,
Wow.
so I wanted to, I think there may be, if I'm this one, I can. If I flip it around, I can kind of see it from a different perspective. I think it works. I think it works out okay. Like the proportions are, acceptable for, especially for our, for an amount of time. Um, Again, the things I was sort of talking about, like there's this, overall sort of triangle shape that happens. Um, the shoulders, as I was talking about, like how they, the movement here. What I'm what I'm talking about is, get rid of those. What I'm talking about is so the clavicle here, the sort of the here's the sternal notch, right? The top of the sternum, and then the collarbones go off like this. They attach. They attach to your shoulder blade. There's a little piece of your shoulder blade uh, called the acromion process, and it comes across, and then your collarbone's attached to it. So you can call that the AC joint, but that's these little spots right here. If you look at that, and then sort of go across, then you can start to have like this angle of the of the shoulders. Um, but anyway, so that angle there, and then for the rest of it, like it was all kind of disguised under all that poofy dress. So um, probably just sort of see, for me, I was really sort of focused on these negative shapes. You know what I mean? Those guys, that sort of thing. Just sort of carving it out from the triangle sort of shape that we have. And then yeah, again, I was sort of looking for the darkest darks, and so I saw it here in the hair, the darkest area of the overall figure, um, and then just sort of looking again at the edges of the. Yes, awesome. So,
Mm.
yeah, that's mine. I will love to see yours. I think Stephen had to go, but thank you, Stephen, for coming. It was awesome. It was awesome to see your drawings today, and great to have you. So, um, yeah, who else wants to show theirs?
I'll go.
All right, thank you, Elise.
Okay. I panicked. Oh no. There we go.
Mm,
Oh, it's still not happening. I never learn.
the tonal values, though.
There we go.
Love it.
Ooh.
So I really tried to get like that. I think it's called ruching on the dress to get like the flow.
What is ruching? What does that mean?
All of, like the fluff and stuff on the on the dress.
I'm gathering
Yeah.
cloth to make ruffles.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ruffles,
okay,
not
gotcha.
ruching.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I paid a lot of attention to the dress, but then her face got so angry.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so I think you kind of got that basic triangular shape. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And certainly, like there was a nice darkness to the hair. I think probably too. If we started to look at the details of all of the folds and stuff in the dress, that there
Mhm.
was there's really some beautiful moments in it. So
Thank you.
yeah, I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and then who else wants to go next?
I'll go
Amber?
next.
All right, let's check yours out, Amber.
Mm.
Wait. Nice. So I think what we ended up with is I really love the front especially. right? So the relationship you're able to sort of capture with the, the rib cage and the shoulders. I think
Mhm.
that's like that's very well seen.
Her head
And
is,
again, into the torso, like how it sort of twists and then comes, down into the hips. So some really nice seeing and stuff there. What do you think? What was some of the challenges and what were some of your, your favorite parts about it?
um, my favorite parts were the shading. I love to do shading. I don't know why. But her head is definitely too small for our body.
Mm.
Of course, we rendered it in already. So,
I
look,
definitely I definitely feel that pain. Like there's some, I remember back in life drawing class, we'd always work on a drawing for like 2 weeks. You know what I mean? So we'd have the model sitting there and it'd be like you'd be working on the same drawing for like 2 weeks in a row. And then you get to like it's the last day, and you're like, and you take a step back, you're like, oh my God, the head is too small. Like you already done it all. There's no going back. So yeah, I understand that. It's like, and so that's what's so fun about these practices, and that's what's so fun about doing this as a, as an activity that you get a chance to sort of, you know, learn about yourself and learn about how you see things. And so, yeah, excellent, excellent work. So thank you so much for
thank
showing. Spirit, love to see yours.
Oh, that's a little thing.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, this was not easy. Definitely not easy. So I tried to kind of just focus on the form or body, the proportions, making sure everything's like lined up correctly. I wanted to kind of capture her leg right here, the kneecap, and just kind of how she's sitting and the rouge and ruffles, as it were. I just kind of wanted to pay attention to the way the light hit it the most. But yeah, this was very challenging.
Well, I appreciate everybody taking on the challenge. I think that it's again, it's like this is I think so enjoyable to do, and then again we're putting ourselves out there, right? This is how it looks. This is what it looks like when you're doing it, especially you know live and in person. We can take all the time we want behind the scenes and really sort of make things perfect and stuff, but we're out here like sort of performing and showing others that they can do it too. And so I'm just really like I'm really grateful to everybody for doing it, for practicing. um, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that it like that it's inspirational to the rest of your drawings that you're going to do this week, the rest of the other things you're going to end up doing this week. I think those are that's really ultimately what I'm hoping that we that we do together. um, so I just want to express like my gratitude for everybody, efforts today and all the contributions and things. So again, thank you very much, everybody. Why don't we go around and do a quick round of sign-offs, and then we'll call it a day. So yeah, we'll get that down. All right. So Amber, would love it if you could give us your sign-off.
okay. I'm Amber Morgaine. I'm an apprentice at Luxury Tattoos and Permanent Cosmetics in Egg Harbor City, New Jersey. And you can find me on all social media platforms under Amber Morgaine.
Thank you, Amber. Again, it's great to have you. Thanks for coming, and so glad, so excited to hear about you signing your contract, and things are really developing for you, and so I've enjoyed like being able to watch your journey. So
Thank you.
thanks.
Appreciate that.
Of course. Yeah. Spirit, let's have your sign off.
Hey guys, my name is Spirit. You can find me at Tattoos by Spirit on Instagram, Tattoos by Spirit on TikTok, and tattoosbyspirit.com. Everything lowercase spelled correctly. One word. That's it.
Thank you so much. Not only I think like, for all the drawings and stuff you made today, but of course, like, just I really enjoy your insights into things too. I learn a lot, from being around you, and so I really appreciate
Cool,
all the
man.
things you did. Yeah, all the things you.
Likewise. Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I also, I'm so excited to hear about your, your new shop environment, how everything is, like things are developing. You like are really enjoying your colleagues and stuff. I'm sure that they appreciate, I'm sure that they appreciate too, like this, there's this mutual respect, right? So a lot, it's just really respectful, and I think that's really awesome. So
Yeah,
so
it's
really,
it's very healthy, and yeah, that's really all I can say about without speaking poorly on my previous experiences. I'll just say that this is in stark contrast to it, and I'm just in a very, very positive place.
I'm happy for you, man. That's awesome. So thank you
Hmm.
again. Uh, Elise, let's have your sign off.
Hello, I'm Elise, and I am a 3D modeling major. And I'm going to be graduating at the end of this spring. If I'm still sane, if I'm still sane by then. But you can find me at elisemarlvisuals.com and on Instagram and ArtStation at elisemarlvisuals.
Yeah, no, so excited for you. This are, such a busy time. So, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you taking the time to come on here. And, I've been working with you for many years now. And so, again, I just, love seeing your progress and your, becoming the artist you are. So again, thank you for coming.
Thanks for
It's
having
been a
me.
real pleasure.
Yeah.
Real pleasure. So,
I'm
well,
gonna cat. You
I'm
were nice
James
to me.
Wisdom. This has been Drawing for Tattooers. If you're still here with us, make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button. It helps the algorithm, of course. And join us at Hell City for live Drawing for Tattooers. We'd love to have you. Again,
When is it gonna be?
May 19th through May 21st. So, so yeah, check it out. More details to come. But this has been Drawing for Tattooers. Thanks again for coming. Happy drawing, everybody. We'll see you next stream.